Good afternoon. I'm going to be reading you a few more chapters from my book, No Naked Walls, which involves book 1, which is So You Want to Own an Art Gallery, book 2, Where's Your Gallery Now, and book 3, Now the Artist Deal With It, all available on Amazon. So today I'm going to be reading from chapter 10, Another Sort of Blue. It's raining, or to be more precise, pouring. Rain is bouncing off the pavement and cascading down for a second dousing. I'm on the phone, engaged in someone else's melee because their dog's bitten off the packaging of their wrapped new painting and eaten part of the frame. Well, at least the dog's got taste. And I'm trying to sound sympathetic and not to laugh. The front door opens and the drenched assistant, hair completely sodden, pads in, leaving puddles on the floor. An atmosphere enters with her. Even the hinges sigh in momentary sadness. "Good morning, Belinda," I say in my usual upbeat manner. "Looks like the weather's won today. Thanks for making the effort, though." No reply. She crosses the floor and the door to the kitchen closes behind her rather too loudly for comfort. Meanwhile, back on the phone, we're reaching an obvious outcome. The customer is going to bring the painting in and we'll repair the frame for him. I suggest don't bring the dog with them. Wandering off to the back of the gallery, I open the door gently, and sitting on a stool with water dripping off her nose is a dejected Belinda, texting on the phone. "My boyfriend left me," she wails. I'm very sorry to hear that. In the back of my mind, I can hear myself acknowledging that this is not going to be an easy sort of day. Now, I know there are rules and regulations which govern the working environment, but I don't think it's unreasonable for staff to try and dry themselves off before having their breakdown on the time I pay them for. There are some spare clothes in the stockroom. Go and change, I say. There's always emergency situations, and the gallery environment can hide quite a few solutions in a well-stocked back room. Business as usual, starting with putting on some music, the soundtrack to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Highly appropriate. Raindrops are pouring on my head. Approximately half an hour later, Belinda wanders in wearing a decorator's overall, the front all poppers and large pockets. She's rolled up the legs and found a spare pair of wedges. Her hair's tied up in a knot, and I have to say, she looks stunning. I've never seen overalls look as good on anyone. Mind you, I've never looked at men in decorators' outfits that way ever. For the moment, though, she seems to have forgotten about her boyfriend. There is, however, one slight problem. The poppers are quite far apart, and every movement, graceful or not, gaped to show off her figure, or at least those parts of her figure not covered by her underwear. Do you remember the statement I made about never poking the payroll? Well, with due respect, Belinda poses a huge challenge to my principles, and I begin to think that she's deliberately flaunting herself, an art she performs with absolute perfection. With great mental restraint, I'm just about able to obey the rules and simply enjoy the view. Please forgive me, though. I'm not a lecherous old man, at least not yet. Then, without any warning sign, she begins to wail. "It's not fair. I'm sure he's gay and a bastard. I love him, and he's such a shit. I don't know why I bother. He won't sleep with me. I hate him. I hate him. Ah!" This turns into a full-blown wail with arms flying everywhere, and she falls to the floor. And then there's total silence. The door opens to admit a couple of potential customers. "Can we look around?" they say. I say, "Oh, feel free," casually putting my arms under Belinda's armpits and trying to get her off the floor into a sitting position. She just sighs and sobs, then she lets me lift her up gently and I half drag, half walk her back into the kitchen. "Oh God, I made such a fool of myself," she says. "Oh, have a drink," I suggest, and leave her to it. I have sales to make outside. Now then, what are you looking for? The next chapter is called Tartan. This is loosely based on a very funny real event that happened a long, long time ago. And it came back to me when I was writing this book virtually in one hit. I sat down, got very, very drunk, in the story that is, not in reality. And so this chapter is called Tartan. Tartan is made up of many colours, rich dark blues, strong reds and hints of yellow, blended in traditions of tweed and kilt weaving. The managing partner's PA, a lovely lady called Mary, or whom she called MPH to her friends, asked me to attend their Burns night celebration. She recently purchased a painting from the gallery, and I must admit, there's a sort of mutual attraction between us that could be dangerous. But then sometimes you have to experiment. There is no better time for Scots to wear the full tartan regalia than Burns night. It's become the tradition on such occasions to pipe in the haggis and mix wine and whisky. God knows why. It's a lethal combination and causes havoc with the head and the stomach. Our hosts are one of the top firms of solicitors in the country, with a reputation for ruthlessness, a massive corporate power base and lots of money to entertain their clients. I suppose it's a nice gesture, even though I'm not Scottish, and I certainly can't afford the firm's rates, so I'm highly unlikely to commission their services. Well, anyway, I'll recommend them to whoever I know who can afford them. One does like to help out wherever possible, you know. It's quite a large affair. There's over 120 men and a smattering of ladies. Strangely, quite a number of the menfolk are wearing kilts, even though a few of them sound remotely Iberian. I suitably wear black tie and no kilt, but I do wear trousers. On entering the suite, I'm offered a glass of champagne by one of the junior assistants. She's in the obligatory little black dress and ushers me in. Always a good start. MPH is wearing a smart, long black number, which clings in all the right places, fitting her just perfectly. In her black patent heels, she's as tall as I am. I suppose if you like Scottish fare, you'd enjoy the food. The wine is flowing and the conversation at the table is safely boring. "My wife's an artist," the gent opposite me says, having learned what business I'm in. It would appear that when you own a gallery, the only thing people really want to do is talk to you about painting or sculpting. "Really? I'm so happy for you. Do you hang any at home?" "Oh, she's not that good yet. You should see what she does. Would you like to sell her work?" I smile and answer in the most polite way possible while avoiding the question and distracting him with, "I'm pretty distressed to find that they want to cut back further on art and creativity programs in schools. How do you feel about that?" There wasn't an answer. I feel I'm talking to a brick wall. "No? OK, well, pass the wine then." Looking around the room, I can't help noticing that all 8 women in the room are dressed in black, and they're all looking like they'd prefer to be somewhere else. It goes for me too. The place goes quiet. The pipes are played and the ceremony starts. The whiskey's served and then more whiskey, and quite frankly, I'm thinking about bowing out and going home. When MPH saunters over to my table and says, "How's it going?" She sits down in the seat next to me and says, "It's great fun, don't you think?" I find it difficult to lie. It's my first Burns night I've ever been to. "What do you think of men in kilts?" she says, and then pulling the chair closer says, "I love men in skirts. They're so sexy." "Really?" I reply. "I suppose it's good to let everything out in the open now and again." She squeezes my thigh and leans closer still. "Bet you look great." Then she stands up and leaves without saying where she's off to. Am I the only man admiring this woman? She has a superb figure. Either it's God-gifted or crafted by hours in the gym. I don't believe she's wearing a bra either. Oh well, attention back on the event, listening to speeches and in-house business jokes. The managing partner, sporting a huge sideburns and red rosy cheeks along with a cummerbund that's straining to let go, stands up, wavering slightly, and announces, "We'll be continuing the evening at my favourite club." In for a penny, as the saying goes. At least 3/4 of the men start to follow their hosts, but only 2 of the women, Mary and her friend Tabitha. The pair of them are somewhat akin to a little enlarged show, with Tabitha standing 5 feet in her kitten heels and Mary towering over her. We head off down the street. It's like being back at school. One long queue of children, all following the leader. Kilts, black dresses and few suits. Quite a sight. 3 turnings later, and we're standing outside the largest gay bar in town. I know of it, but I don't frequent it. The managing partner waves us all past the bouncer, who's suitably attired in an electric blue sequin dress with matching eyelashes. He greets everyone in the lowest gravelly voice you can imagine, kissing the odd chap on both cheeks. And at that precise moment, MPH does a sort of pirouette, and luckily I'm near enough to catch her arm and stop her falling full length to the bottom of the stairs. "Are you okay?" "No," she says emphatically. "I have to go back to my hotel. It's not far." "Let me escort you." I straighten her up and let go. On reflection, this isn't a good idea, as she begins to totter again. Without any fuss, I hold her arm and assist her back out into the fresh night air. Fatal. She starts laughing and utters something under her breath. "Where to?" "The Grand," she hiccups. She's staying in a hotel no more than 2 streets away. A mere 5-minute stroll. However, Mary decides her feet are killing her and flings her shoes into the road. "Can't walk, won't walk, don't care anymore." And with that, she slowly crumples to the pavement. Now hang on, stay with me here. Options? I could try for a taxi. Not sure any driver will let a very drunk woman, however tall and well dressed, into his cab. Or I could be a gentleman and carry her back to the hotel. It wouldn't be a first for me, but then that's another story. I decide to put her over my shoulder and nonchalantly stroll down to the Grand Hotel. She's singing blissfully out of tune and laughing all the way to the revolving doors and the uniformed doorman. "May I help you, sir?" he says, as if it's perfectly normal to see a man with an inebriated woman over his shoulder. What I don't like is the way he says "sir." It slips off his tongue like a crocodile entering the river. He's too smooth for my liking. This lady is staying here and I'm escorting her back." I get a look of total disbelief. You know the one, delivered with the most accurate guided missile technology? "I need some help as well to get her to her room, please." It really is becoming a farce. For now the night manager and the barman, taking a break, are looking on with mock disbelief, and MPH confuses matters further by opening a tiny handbag and offering £20 notes to the men. "Have you the key?" the manager asks, like a mortician to a deceased corpse. MPH is still on my shoulder and getting a little heavy now. "I have a key," she pipes up and empties the contents of a bag on the floor. "Oh dear, silly me. Gentlemen, I really would like to get this woman to her room." At last, the penny drops into acceptance and the manager presses the button to call the lift, collects all Mary's belongings off the deep piled carpet and leads the balancing act to the lift. So there we are, the manager, the bellhop and myself with MPH still over my shoulder, happy as a drunken PA can be. The silence in the lift is explosive and even MPH goes quiet. I've never been in a more innocent situation while being hung, drawn and quartered at the same time. We arrive at the 4th floor and duly march towards the room. The manager puts the credit card size key into MPH's hand. Never mind that she's effectively upside down, and she fiddles with it, trying to get it into the slot. "It's like posting a letter," she giggles, but it clicks and the manager opens the door slowly and deliberately. The room is unbelievably tidy, considering a woman has early prepared herself in it for the evening. Sorry. On reflection, maybe MPH was playing a little something after the event. "Well, gents, what do you suggest we do?" MPH isn't laughing anymore, and I swing her down so that she's right way up with her feet in contact with the floor. She looks a funny shade to me. I need to lie down. And with that decision made, she launches herself onto the large bed. "I have to get back to my desk," the manager says. "At least she's safely back now, sir." And he leaves the room, followed by his bellhop, who I think just came along for the entertainment. "I don't feel very well," she says. In the bathroom, I soak a towel in cold water, wringing it out and returning to the bedroom. She's still lying on the bed, but her dress has been entirely discarded, and I see I was correct about the bra. There's no evidence of one anywhere. "Don't you think you should cover yourself up?" I suggest, resting the towel on her forehead. She closes her eyes, lying quite still. I prop another pillow under her head and drape the blanket over her well-toned torso. She opens her eyes, and her gaze is dazed. "Don't you like what you see? I think you've got a magnificent figure, and you're very drunk." Never ever attempt to sleep with a drunken member of the opposite sex. It's just not a gentlemanly thing to do, not to mention illegal, informed consent and all that. So she sits up, grabs me by the shoulders and tries to kiss me, but instead manages to bite my lip hard. She looks pale and confused. I say, "I'll be going now," and go back into the bathroom for a small waste bin to place at her side, just in case. There's no response. She's out cold. I leave the side lights on, quietly closing the door behind me. Walking past reception, I hear the manager's voice. "That was quick then, Gav." And I ignore the comment and head out through the revolving doors. Well, that's a hell of a first Burns night, I think, as I make my way to the taxi rank. The next day is plainly hazy and foggy for some. At approximately 1:45, with a lazy sun trying to peep through the city smog, a familiar woman gingerly walks into the gallery and makes for the nearest chair. "Good afternoon," I greet MPH. "I daren't ask how you're feeling today." I really shouldn't mix my drinks. I don't seem to be able to hold him like I used to. "May I ask what part of the evening you remember?" A puzzled eyebrow accompanies her answer. "Well, I vaguely remember leaving the office. I've no idea how I ended up in my hotel room this morning." You know, sometimes silence is really golden, as the song goes. Julian brings us a black coffee and plain biscuits. Now that's what you call perfect timing, and a much better choice than the hair of the dog alcoholic option. Thank you.